Hi there Pisces, thank you for joining me for your year 2015 forecast. At the very end of last year, the strategic influence of Saturn repositioned itself into a new home, one which is going to occupy for 9 months of this year. Now you may be thinking, well, why is that? And the simple reason is because of a retrograde which is going to start in March. This means that the planet will actually retread its path back into Scorpio from the middle of June through to the middle of September. And that's an area which is very much to do with expansion. But Saturn has been encouraging you to expand over the last 2 years, 2.25 years, but you've probably had to work very hard in order to do it. And there could be something which you just need to learn more or apply yourself just that little bit extra to in order to really move on to the next phase fully, which begins at the start of this year when you start to test yourself out with the help of Saturn's help in some kind of environment which could see you taking on more responsibility, being more successful, but the burden at times can prove to be rather heavy. But you've got some wonderful assets to support you, not least that a magical combination between Mercury and Venus on the first day of this year provides an insight of what can help to cultivate some highly important relationships throughout the next 12 months, and some of these can be linked to your professional situation. Now Jupiter is also urging you to go for it at work, but more in terms of getting your head down and being really applied. Now Jupiter is going to be in an opposition with Mars at the start of this year. It's one of those aspects that can be good, but also it has a downside. And in the axes that are being aroused on your behalf, I do think it's important that you're aware that you could be your own worst taskmaster this year. And it is going to be important to give yourself some downtime, some permission to go out and have some fun and be more playful. And of course, with Mercury and Venus sparkling together in your sector of sociability, you've got an opportunity to do so with great success. Now, a more testing influence at the start of this year is the square between Uranus and Pluto. This has been broadly going on, just going out of focus slightly, then back into focus over the last 3 years. And it is a lot to do with all this political upheaval that we're seeing in the world. If you think about it, Capricorn, where Pluto is the planet of the orthodox, whereas Uranus is the planet of rebellion, and it's in Aries. And Aries doesn't think about things long. It's turning up the flame on Uranus to a highly intoxicating heat. And sometimes the two can clash together bitterly. And there may be part of you when it comes to earning a living or being successful where opportunities can break for you to make progress, but you may have to make some snap decisions, and not always will you be comfortable with what you're finding yourself doing. But equally, you need to challenge that part of you which can be rather too idealistic at times. We all have to live in the real world. We all have to put a roof over our head and feed ourselves. But there may be some dilemmas this year which come about quite unexpectedly that throw up this. But to be honest, it's been going on pretty broadly, as I say, for the past 3 years anyway. The other big change which occurred at the end of last year was the relocation of Saturn. Saturn has been working its way through the last 2.25 years through your sector of growth. Anything to do with higher education, learning new skills, expansion, it's all been there, and Saturn has potentially been helping you, but you've had to give something back to Saturn, and that is application. And if you have been able to really drive yourself on, it's possible that opportunities will open up as soon as the very start of this year. And that could mean extra responsibility coming your way. You could take on a leadership role in a situation. You can be the main driving force, the focus, a manager, an executive, an organizer. This can be in a business context, but equally it can be in a personal one. Your desire to have authority is going to come to the fore. But Saturn is about restriction. It's about tough lessons. It's not always easy. And the suggestion here is that even if there is success, you're really going to have to roll up your sleeves even more to dedicate yourself to see it through. If you can do that, the future does look very bright. Ironically, Saturn is going to switch back into Scorpio from the middle of June to the middle of September, which does give you an opportunity to perhaps refresh some skills or to reorientate your outlook. But then again, from the middle of September, it's asking you to go for it when it comes to goals and ambitions. But in March, we also see a very key solar eclipse, one which occurs in your sign Pisces. This is exciting because it's giving you the permission or the capability to really strut your stuff in a truly authentic way. Nelson Mandela once famously said, the hardest thing in life, or one of them, is to be true to ourselves. And this particular solar eclipse does give you the permission to really be much more thrusting when it comes to your individual aims. This could see you give yourself a glamorous makeover in the following 6 months, start up some new interests or hobbies, or re-energize things that are important to you in terms of existing strands. But because it knits together with the lunar eclipse of the 4th of April, which occurs in Libra and is in an opposition with Uranus, and therefore it's a T-square with Pluto, I would caution you that whatever you do will have an impact on others. You can't see yourself as some kind of separate state. There is going to be ramifications for any actions that you take. So you need to think through what you do before you invest the time and energy into doing something which could echo out, ripple out in terms of the consequences for some time to come. Now Jupiter is also going to start to go forwards from the 8th of April, and this will help you to feel stronger in your body, more robust. And if you are wanting to learn more about healthy eating and diet, this is a fabulous opportunity through to the 10th of August in order to do so. Once Saturn switches back into Scorpio, your sister water sign, in the middle of June, you may find yourself wanting to have a break, go on some kind of holiday, particularly if you have been really toiling away towards those big goals. But that holiday may be something that requires you to seek out some kind of challenge. If it's just the same old thing, you may not get the same satisfaction from it. So test yourself out in some way. It could be really incredibly exciting. On the 11th of August, perhaps the most incredible change of the whole year develops when Jupiter, the planet of expansion, of course, good luck, moves into your sector of relating, where it will be for the following 12 months. It hasn't been here broadly for 12 years. It isn't in a great position in Virgo. It's known as a detriment because it's opposite your sign, and your ruler is, of course, or one of the two, is Jupiter. However, all it's going to do is help you to be more realistic about your relationships. And there can be one relationship which really does become a prime mover in your situation before the end of the year. But if you meet anyone in September, I would proceed with caution, because there may be someone you encounter who appears to be absolutely wondrous, but when you really get to know them, there may be some issues of their situation or their personality which they don't first reveal, which could end up disappointing you hugely. Fortunately, a fantastic set of eclipses and also an angle between Jupiter and Pluto in October can really put you back onto the front foot in that month. And this can see you forging an alliance with someone which could just last for so long, and it could be amazing. Now this may be a strategic alliance to do with work. It may be romantic, but if you are involved with someone by that time and you really like them, and the portents seem very positive, then there's a lot to suggest you can invest more and more of yourself in this. But with Saturn clashing with Neptune, your other co-ruler, in the middle of November through to the first week of December, just be aware that over-ambition or overextending yourself or not being realistic about your goals could see you hitting a major wall. And it's important, therefore, not to stretch yourself too far. And then the square between Uranus and Pluto is repeated at the very end of this year, the last 2 months. And it's just reminding you that whatever you do in life, there will always be one side of it which you may find difficult to accept. And that's partly due to the duality of your sign. If you look at your glyph, the zodiac glyph, you have 2 fishes swimming in different directions. And sometimes that's how it is for you. You can feel drawn to 2 different possibilities at the same time. And that may happen again towards the end of the year. But you're going to need to think realistically when it comes to your financial situation and not just get caught up in your dreams. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. And remember, if you want the detail of your weekly and monthly forecast, please join me every week of the year. Good luck and goodbye for now.